hmm Alex, my friend, happy Apple Event Day. Are you excited
Hey,
here?
Michael. Yes, the hype
Oh,
is real.
the hype is real. So thank you, Alex, for joining me. Alex, where? So remind everybody where are you at? Where are you located at?
So I'm in the UK. I'm in a place called, well, the best way to explain is I'm in between Bristol and Bath in the UK. It's near Wales, but
Okay.
yeah, an
So
hour
the
away from London.
so where you're at, it's about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, right?
5 o'clock on the dot right now. Yeah. So
Wow.
1 hour before we know whether we get a pill-shaped notch, no notch, a dot, whatever it is.
Whatever they want to call it. And you know what? We'll maybe talk about that in a few minutes here. Our other co-host, Patrick, is running a little bit behind, but that's okay. He'll join us in just a few minutes. So let's maybe talk about the event itself. So the event happens in an hour, like you just pointed out. Thank you very much. So strangely, this is the event that is going to be happening. People from the press are, they're on campus. I wonder if it will be a live event where they're actually doing presentations on stage, or if it's all been pre-recorded and there's a handful of people that know what is actually going to be in the event. Do you have any thoughts
I
on
was
that?
wondering the same. Yeah, I wonder exactly the same. Especially when I saw a tweet earlier from Tim Cook. That was a few hours ago, and I'm thinking,
Yeah,
yeah, it's probably happening as we speak. Happening as we speak.
yeah.
People already got their iPhones. They're on hands, sort of, or the hands-on experience in campus.
It's
It doesn't feel like they would allow that risk, right, of running live. But I don't know. It would be cool if they did.
So when I was at WWDC this year, the event was live, obviously, because
Yeah,
there was people there, and there was
yeah,
so many
yeah,
people. Yeah,
yeah.
and but everything was pre-recorded. So
Right.
when we were watching the event, I was watching it live with you and everyone else that was watching it. So Tim came out like a minute or two beforehand. Then Eddie came out, or not Eddie, but Craig, and then they
Yeah,
gave like a little speech, and then they played the video. It was kind of weird. It was like, well, why are we here? But anyways,
exactly. It's that thing, right? It's less risky to kind of record something and play it. But yeah,
you're absolutely
it would be
right.
cool if they did it live.
No, you're right. I think what I appreciate the ability to see it live, but I think that pre-recorded is just so much more. It's so much more engaging, right? Like all their transitions where they go down like 10 levels inside the park, and then you see Johnny Cerruti like pinned up in a lab. It's really cool.
That's right. I'm looking forward to those, right? I mean, the transitions, I mean, especially Craig's, right, when he does the MacBook ones, they became a thing that we all kind of. I actually bought a D brand skin of Craig's face because I
Oh, did
just
you
think it's
really?
hilarious.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Oh,
Um,
so D-brand skins, I love them, but I just never get them on and have them look perfect because I'm super OCD, and I'm like, no, there's like a little corner lifting up.
Oh yeah, I tried one. I've got a Pixel 6 Pro. I shouldn't mention it here, but whatever.
Okay.
I use Android devices. And yeah, I got a brand skin on that, and it's, as you're saying, it's not really quite perfect. But to remove it, it's like you're gonna do it all again, and it's like so it will stay as it
Yeah,
is.
I know. So let's talk about the iPhone. We know that we're likely getting iPhones. Those are the things that would normally see at this time. The rumors are
Mm,
the iPhone 14, the iPhone 14 Pro, and the consensus is that the Mini is gone, and
right.
being replaced with the Mini is there's now a plus size for the lower iPhone 14. Make sure that we're on
Yeah,
the same page, right?
yeah, exactly. And whether they'll call it 12 Max or 12 Plus, well, there's some sort of in between model there, right?
Oh, I didn't
Instead of
hear
the Mini.
that. Oh yeah. Oh, the
Yeah,
plus.
yeah.
You said 12 and I
So
was confused for a second. I was like, oh, I didn't
did
know
I
they
say
were going to.
12? Sorry, yeah.
Yeah,
I was reading 12 in a tweet and I
that's
it
okay. That's
escaped
okay.
my brain.
So the iPhone 14 and the iPhone 14 Pro, what I'm really interested in learning is how are they going to differentiate the two? Like what's going to be, like last year it was cameras and the ProMotion display. Like will they continue to differentiate that in, this year, or will they some of those features that were, usually exclusive to the iPhone 14 Pro, will some of them trickle down to the iPhone 14, like the LiDAR
This is
sensor
the
or go ahead.
uh, this is the thing that I mentioned that in my latest video. Actually, it annoys me about Apple these days. Is that right? They kind of force you in a gentle way to get to the Pro range
Yeah.
by doing exactly what you said, right? By not putting some features in the lower ranked models. So
Yep.
it is annoying. It would be even more frustrating for people if you don't get the design changes, right? I know they're minimal, like the notch might be different, um, but to not get those in the lower version would feel really weird from a lineup perspective as well.
Yeah.
But they've done it before, right? The 13 range looked different when you go down to the lower models. So
So wait, did it though? I'm trying to think. What's different about the 13? I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying. Like, is it just
yeah,
the cameras on the back, but or the finish? You're right. I guess the finish too. Is
yeah,
it?
they don't look as premium, right, as the Pro range,
Oh, and the bands too. The
yeah.
the
So
the band around the phone.
that's what I mean, and it yeah, I mean people buy the latest sometimes not because of the features, right? And we've got to be kind of pragmatic here. Some people buy the latest because they want to show off that it's the latest phone, and if it looks like the previous model, then it's kind of what's the point?
Yeah. So what's interesting is that I read some research. I don't remember if it was in the Wall Street Journal or not. Not to sound fancy, like I read the Wall Street Journal every day, but they were saying like in America, most of the people upgrade when there's a significant improvement in the cameras, and that
Right.
drives upgrade cycles here. I wasn't sure about Europe or the UK, but in China, which is like one of the other bigger markets, it's design changes. So actual like the outside of the phone and how that looks different from the previous year, that drives a big upgrade cycle. So it would be interesting to see how well this phone performs. If there's design changes, which is not
Yeah,
necessarily
I
clear.
was trying to gauge from my audience, what their feel is, because last year was very clear, and it was one of the big things about the market at that time. I forgot that there's a term in the industry. I think it's called the super cycle or whatever. And I'm not sure. I haven't seen any research this year to suggest that this year is another super cycle, as they say.
Yeah,
But last year, I think they were kind of expected to sell 250 million devices. I was like,
that's
you know,
ridiculous.
ridiculous amount, right? That's horrendous amount of iPhones. But this year, I don't know. I don't know the numbers. I don't know where people are. But gauging from my video today, which was just about, hey, if you buy an iPhone, here's some options. Consider 13 and forget about 13 Pro. Still an amazing device. But people are saying, I'm upgrading from a very old device. I mean, there's a lot of people out there with really aging phones. In the last 2 years, it's been about not spending money, right? We've been in a pandemic, and
Yeah.
people haven't really invested in frivolities, as you, you
No,
could
you're
call it,
right.
right? The smartphone. So this could be the real super cycle from a device perspective, and the views and the comments I'm getting at the moment seem to suggest yeah, there's a lot of people with iPhone 10,
Yeah.
iPhone 7, even lots of iPhone 7 people out there saying the phone works well, but I could do with an upgrade.
Yeah, I think it also has to do with your audience demographics as well, right? If you're
Mm.
skewing young or skewing older, older people have different priorities than younger people, and they might not
Mm.
necessarily need to age out of their current iPhone. Like I was talking to my friend Steve, where we were like, if it wasn't for the significant camera upgrades, there might not be a reason for me to upgrade from the 13, this year, depending on really what it is.
Exactly.
I have a small child, right, and he runs around so fast, and yeah, right, like a camera benefit or a camera upgrade would benefit me. So that would probably be one of the big reasons I'm looking for. But let's see, is it Donozo? He says, is it worth getting the iPhone 14 Pro if you have the regular iPhone 11? So I think probably the biggest upgrade is going to be the display from his perspective, because you have an LCD on the iPhone
Yeah.
11. That would probably be the biggest upgrade. So really, depending on how you're using your phone, is it?
The 11, I would say, is on the cusp of
Yeah,
being just good. I mean, you could obviously spend another 2 years on that phone and it'll still be good. I mean, my 11, I still remember being sad selling it to get the 12.
yeah,
And last year's 12 actually gave that to my wife because I didn't want to sell it because you never really get the money back for it. But
yeah,
I think, yeah, 11 is probably, you're right. You do see enough of a jump from those ones. Anything around 3 years old, the cameras are advancing quite a lot, and whether we like it or not, whether we, I don't know, agree with it or not, people buy smartphones these days. A lot of it is based on the cameras.
yeah.
You know,
No, you're
the
right.
fact that he makes phone calls and he can work on it and he can game on it is kind of irrelevant, right? A lot of devices can do that, but it's the camera advances, and with socials is so important these days. There are lots of people, whether they have a business or work for themselves, there's a lot of any edge that you can get by having a better post on Instagram or better TikTok video, it's it's an advantage that a lot of people will care about.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. We have a special guest, Patrick, joining us. Let's see if I can get him in here. Hold on a second.
Awesome.
Patrick, we'll get you in here in a second. Patrick, can you hear us?
You're late.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Excellent.
I told you that was one of the most asked questions. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, and you're...
Sorry.
Can you hear me? And can you take yourself off mute? Or how do I double mute? So, Patrick, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So we're just talking about the upgrade cycle. We're curious about the iPhone 14, and really we're just talking about what some of the features are in the 14 Pro. We're going through that right now. Hold on one second here. So I guess to your point, Alex, about people using or people upgrading because they want to get the latest camera enhancements. I think that we probably will see a lot of people upgrade to this device. There are still going to be people who have the iPhone 11, the iPhone 10, who are not yet ready to spend the extra money and upgrade. I mean, that's just the simple fact of it.
Yeah. And that, there's a lot of people who are on a lot of kind of 3-4 years old device that probably not look at the 14 as the main phone. There's some people saying to me that they will actually get to go to the 13 Pro because of that, likelihood of the price going down as soon as tomorrow hits. So yeah, and 48 megapixels, right, on the main camera. That's the rumored big change, right, from 12 megapixel. And it's a big jump, right?
It is a significant jump. I guess maybe let's talk about the camera. We'll talk about that. It's not clear to me whether or not, well, at least it's not clear to anybody yet, if they're doing binning or not. So if they're taking 48 and they're actually binning it down to 12, just giving you higher density pixels or making the image look better. But a 48 megapixel camera would be a significant jump. I don't know. Are there any cameras, smartphone cameras, in the market today that have that kind of capability?
S22 Ultra, right? They've got a 50 megapixel sensor, I believe. I don't know. I could be wrong, but yeah, it's a decent sensor on that, and you can tell by. I mean, I'm not a fan of the S22 Ultra because of performance issues here in Europe, but the camera is amazing. So and when Apple do stuff, I mean, they were doing things on this 12 megapixel camera that arguably not other phones can do, especially when it comes to video. So what they will be able to do on the 48 megapixel sensor, that's probably the only thing that I'm excited about, really, is that jump in quality.
Yeah. Patrick, what about you?
And you're talking about photographs, right? When we're talking about 48 meg. Because what I'm worried about in terms of video is, everybody is getting excited about 8K, which is, of course, it's amazing, but it kind of reminds me of getting the R5, first time, the Canon R5, which has 8K, and but the files are so massive that I never ever use it. Other than YouTube compressing it anyway. But the iPhone has another problem because the files are obviously going to be very big. And how are we going to get them to our computer? Because we have AirDrop and we have most likely a Lightning connector.
I was going to say that.
It's going to take 48 days to get an 8K file over to your computer. So as awesome as 8K on a phone is, I mean, it's mind-blowing, obviously. I don't think we can actually use it.
No, same with ProRes, right? I think I've recorded a 30-second clip in ProRes, and it was like a gig. So I was like, okay, I can't do that.
I mean,
it's a gig and it's transfer. That's the problem.
Yeah. In addition to the storage, right? Like not everyone's going to buy a 512 or a 1 terabyte iPhone. Like you have these big files, you need to get them off your phone immediately. Otherwise, you're space constrained, and your iPhone is full. You can't do anything else. So, let's hear. Wait, Luke, or sorry, is it Luke or Lake? I can't tell. Total Apple fanboy, but I feel that the iPhone is the only device I care about. Right? I think that a lot of people are in the same boat where it's not really. They don't put a lot of thought into switching devices because they have, so much invested into that device, and they have their friends and family on it, and it's total lock-in. But I'm right there with you.
Yeah, that ecosystem is not something we can underestimate, right? It is so powerful. A lot of people say to me when I do like an Android video, people say it's a lovely phone, Alex, but my family are on iOS. I need to message them, I need to FaceTime them, and it's just
yeah.
What? I mean, that's a discussion that's, I think, much more alive in the US than it is in Europe, because people here are kind of used to things like WhatsApp and Telegram and all that kind of stuff. And they don't really use iMessage as much as they do in the US. And the whole green bubble, blue bubble discussion doesn't really live here. So I wonder if that's there to stay, or whether it's going to be, at some point we're going to get over that and be a bit more open to cross-platform stuff.
So is that true of like, so that's what you're saying is it's true for messaging, but is that true for also like FaceTime or video calling someone? Do you not use FaceTime because they're the same thing?
I don't use it very often. I don't really know. I mean, usually I use WhatsApp to do my video calls, or
Oh, wow.
I mean, I do FaceTime every now and then, but no, not very often.
Yeah, wow. I think it's mostly in between sort of probably younger sort of friends, but in the family, right? There's a lot of people. I mean, I use FaceTime every day to kind of talk to my son. Even sometimes, I'll admit, sometimes he's upstairs, and I was like, just FaceTime to say, come downstairs for lunch or something. But
wow, that's so interesting, because like here in the US, we almost use FaceTime exclusively because there's there's so many other apps that do video calling, and not everyone has the same app installed. So it's like the lowest common denominator, and you default to it. Like it's interesting that I've heard this before, that in other places, you have WeChat in China or in Asia, and you have WhatsApp in most of the other world. It's just interesting to really hear someone saying it.
Yeah, I think that's because we used to be, when I say we, I mean Europeans, we used to be very much Android oriented. iPhone was popular, but not as popular as in the US, and so people are used to looking for cross-platform apps. And I think even though a lot of us switched to iPhone eventually, we're so used to our little WhatsApp and Telegram apps that we don't really feel the need to switch to FaceTime, because all of our friends are on WhatsApp.
Wow. So the real winner here is not Apple, not Android. It's someone like WhatsApp, because they're retaining the customer right over your upgrade cycle.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not losing your all that information. Wow. Very interesting.
And I think that kind of texting as well has been more popular than video for a long. I mean, even before the US. I remember visiting the US or having visitors from the US coming here and say, "What are you doing with SMS? What the hell?" Obviously now it's universal, but we were doing this for a long time before video calling.
Wow. If any of you guys are watching the stream, let me know comment down below what you guys are using for your messaging, if you're using FaceTime or iMessage, or if you're using a different platform. It'd be nice to know where everyone's watching from.
Team green bubble or team blue bubble?
Yeah, green bubble or blue bubble. You can comment with a color if you want. So I guess maybe let's switch gears from the iPhone 14 Pro, unless you guys want to talk about anything else with maybe the prospective upgrades. Oh, actually, we didn't talk about the display. We talk about the display?
No, exactly. Yeah.
So the rumor is that there's really three tentpole features for the upgrades. There's the camera, which we already talked about. There's the display, which is supposed to be an always-on display. I think it's interesting. It's really about time, because they've been seemingly working on this for a couple of years. But I think that's a really nice feature. But it's kind of like parity for other devices. If you look across Android, I mean, are you guys really excited about an always-on display?
I am, mainly because I know Apple will do it differently, but I think it's I use it a lot in my Android devices, and it's a nice sort of feature to have. Every now and then you kind of just glance at the phone and see your notifications, you see the time. You don't really need to open the phone and lock with your biometrics, whatever it might be. It's just looking at it. And so I like that, but I do know that, well, I expect that if Apple's going to do it, they're going to do it in a nice way. So I'm excited about that, mainly because it will look different, but hopefully.
Yeah, Patrick.
I see that with there's a comment, Loki Rose, I'm pronouncing that correctly. He's saying in Sweden, the green bubble, blue bubble thing is real, and North Europe was always more iOS. Yeah, it depends on what you define as North Europe, because I'm originally from the Netherlands, which I think is North Europe, but I don't remember there being that discussion. Maybe it's different in Sweden.
Green bubble, blue bubble is the real thing. I mean, I guess it probably has a lot to do with, how how the middle class kind of comes up through your country. Not saying that the Netherlands is had any different kind of aspirations, but like you see that like in China, where there's more working class people now, there's more middle class, and they're starting to get more disposable income, and they start to buy iPhones, where before it was not. It was things that were only kind of limited to a certain segment of customers. So I don't know what it could be, but it's interesting that it was a real thing in Sweden.
Yeah, it's very interesting. What you're saying makes a lot of sense, with the income brackets, and, Eastern Europe, I would say mostly would be, a natural fit for Android phones. The Netherlands is quite, has always been a wealthy country, but I don't recall that discussion being a thing there. So it's interesting. Should look into that.
Yeah. Scandinavia.
Yeah, Scandinavia, and they're yeah, okay.
I don't know, it's probably a perception thing, but I always imagine that part of the world to be more kind of stuck in Nokia and sort of more traditional. Yeah, that's interesting to hear that.
Yeah,
you're giving away our age, Alex.
That's right.
We were all on Nokia at some point.
Yes,
oh,
we
wow.
did. People are like, what is a Nokia?
Yeah, right. So the other feature for the iPhone 14 Pro, so we have the display, we have the camera. I'm trying to think what it is now.
Well, there's supposed to be a bigger battery, right, to cope with the always-on display, but that's not really a big people not caring about that really.
Is it supposed to be a bigger phone, like a bigger than the current iPhone 13 Pro Max? I'm trying to think.
So, I don't know if you guys received one of these from K's manufacturers, but I got a couple of dummy devices, and as luck would have it, mine is disappeared. I was going to show you here because it's obviously relevant. Talk amongst yourselves.
Sure. Go ahead. Yeah. So I haven't seen I usually don't accept cases before before launch, so because they almost never are the right sizes. So I'm like, let's just save your time. I don't want to aggravate my audience.
So I've got it here, and I've got the iPhone 13 Pro. This is the 14 Pro Max, allegedly. And looking externally, you can tell, right, that it's exactly the same as the 13. But the camera, and I don't know if you can tell here in the video, if I put it in focus, that the no, that's not gonna work. Yeah, the camera is slightly bigger, just slightly. In terms of the width or the thickness, double C, is the same, to be honest.
Thickness with 2 C's.
Damn, boy.
Hello, Fernando.
Yeah, there's a bit of space between the lenses, right?
There's bigger space, definitely. Yeah, I mean, let's see. Damn, my eyes.
Yeah.
And is that the Casetify dummy?
Not allowed to say. But
You're not allowed. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well, let's assume it is. They're usually spot on with those dummies. So I think they get them early.
It's been the case in the last 2 years. Yeah.
I see what you did there. It's been the case.
It's not intended, but yeah, well caught.
That's funny. So maybe do you guys want to switch to the iPhone 14, or do you want to still talk about the 14 Pro? Do you have anything else to add?
Hey, Fernando in the house.
Yeah, let's talk about, because what do you guys think? I think, from what we've seen, right, the 14 and the 14 Max are going to be basically super incremental upgrades from the 13. And I mean, there was no Max, obviously, so that's new. But I'm having real trouble getting excited over those phones. And also, I wonder, real Apple fans want to have the new design, right? They want people to know that this is the new one that they're holding. Exactly. So I wonder if it's going to be less popular than previous years because of the differences in design this time. Because there's always differences, of course, between a normal iPhone or regular size and a Pro Max. but this time they're actually going to be like different phones. So I wonder if more people are going to be drawn to the Pro for that reason.
It's definitely a consideration, right?
Yeah,
especially with the camera. If the camera features are the same on Pro and Pro Max, I personally, I think I made a mistake myself. Just from a personal use, the 13 Pro Max is not the most comfortable phone to use, as you guys probably know. The Pro, if all you want is the camera features, the Pro is probably a better one.
Yeah, I agree. Pro Max is too big, especially if there's like it was the 12 where they had a differentiated feature. It was you might have got better.
The camera was a little bit lower spec,
something like that. But if the features are the same this year, I will not get the Pro Max. That's not worth it for me.
Yeah, I think for because we tech reviewers are, we've got to review them. So I think I will get a 14 Pro Max and probably the new model, whatever that's called, Plus, whatever. But I think eventually I'll probably just stick to the Pro for my personal use.
Yeah, no use for that. Personally speaking, I think the Pro Max is just too big. I've almost dropped it on myself probably like 100 times, right? Like where I'm sitting in bed, like looking at it, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, and it almost hits me in the face.
It's a painful experience.
Even if I'm trying to use it like one-handedly, it's just way too big for me to use. Like I don't have very small hands. I don't have very large hands. I have normal hands, I think, and at least that's what my wife tells me. But I'm using it here, and I'll like try and like shimmy it to use the keyboard. It just doesn't work for me.
It digs in quite hard. After a while, it becomes uncomfortable. And this is the thing, right? With Android devices in the evening, I just reach for my, not even the S22 Ultra, because that's also not the most comfortable phone to hold, but the Pixel 6 Pro or even now the Fold. But yeah, the iPhone is just for longer use, like gaming or whatever, it's just not comfortable.
Yeah, no, not a fan. So do you think there'll be any features that were previously Pro exclusive that make its way down to the iPhone 14, like any of the camera features, right? Because right now there's only 2 camera lenses on the 14, the LiDAR sensor, anything like that to entice people to upgrade to that device, or maybe to prevent them from upgrading to the Pro Max or the Pro?
I don't think so. I think Apple's trying to get us to upgrade to Pro phones. Seems to be their strategy, because you see a similar thing with the MacBooks, right? We all reviewed the M2 MacBook Air, which is cool. I love that computer, but it's not very powerful. So if you want to upgrade that computer even a little bit, you're better off getting, in my opinion, you get better off getting an M1 M1 MacBook Pro. And I'm wondering if Apple, if that's their new strategy to sort of, like Canon, using the cripple hammer. Maybe it's the Apple hammer, and trying to pummel their lower end devices and get people towards the Pro segment.
That's interesting.
Yeah, we were just chatting about that earlier, right? It's they're very clever how they do it. So they entice you to go to the more expensive models by adding some exclusive features, and that, I'm cool with that, right? That happens across the industry. That's not with cars as well. It's the same thing. Yeah. But if you were to sort of, I think it's a bit unfair not to make the phones look the same in the lower ranked models, right? I think that is a bit too much. I think the features fair enough, but to make the look like last year's model, it's a bit, I don't know. As a consumer, you feel a bit cheated, right? I would anyway.
No, I understand what you're saying, but I kind of think of it like as trim. Like if you look at a BMW 335 and a BMW 350, like there's like trim levels, or the M series trim level. Like you're getting trim levels.
Look slightly different. Yeah, they
look slightly different. There's some, they have the carbon fiber dash or whatever the case is, and that's really what you're kind of paying for. And then the additional, not the horsepower, but the additional kind of features that are exclusive to that type of, or that class of device. But I do understand what you're talking about, where people feel they want the latest, but those people who are buying the regular devices, they don't care about that.
I don't know. If you compare it to that, let's take your car analogy, right? Of course there are gradations in BMWs, and you can pay more for a faster one, or a nicer dashboard or whatever. but they will all have the same headlights because it's the same year they were built. You don't want a BMW with the last generation's headlights for a little bit less money, right? You want the new headlights. You want the new, you want it to look
to know
like
it's the latest. Yeah.
yeah. So I think
Even
it's
if
the
you
same
don't have
with
all the trimming.
yeah, because they are luxury phones, and you don't want it to look like last year's model. So I'm not sure what they're trying to do with this, justifying maybe increasing the price on the Pros, or getting people to go to the Pro and ditch the get more people to go to the Pro side and ditch the regular phone. I don't know. There's something behind it.
Yeah.
So I would, I mean, this is just pure speculation, but I would think that there's probably better margins in the 14 than the 14 Pro because of the additional research and development that needs to go into for the camera, the cost for the camera, the manufacturing, all that stuff. So I would think that they would make that phone, like there's people who buy the iPhone 14 Pro Max or the Pro, the distribution of those people, I think probably maybe more towards the center, like they're, because you can see that from the average selling price of what they list for their phones. But it is interesting. I think you guys offer a kind of an interesting perspective regarding the features and the styling of it. I didn't necessarily consider.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing to consider, right, like regardless of the look and feel of the phone, is that Apple don't really seem to get customers to offer deals and stuff. I mean, they obviously do trade-ins, but I don't know if you ever tried to trade in with Apple, you're always losing.
Oh yeah.
So it's another thing that when people, if they can get away with not getting an iPhone, $1,000 will go a long way with other brands. So I think Apple needs to, I think they need to start thinking, either as Patrick said, maybe make the Pro more of this de facto standard lower level, or make it really really financially viable for people to buy the lower ones. But yeah, it's a profitable company. They know a lot about making money, right? That we don't.
So I think the thing is they have access to the data that we speculate on, and that's where it comes in.
I like this question from. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah.
No.
See, right? Are we talking about that one?
Yeah. So Michael Peppertech, his comment. So I could see cinematic mode and some of the stuff from the iPhone 13 Pro coming to the 14 and 14 series and the 14 Pro, getting higher res cinematic mode, which right now is limited to 1080p, which I don't know who anyone's going to use it, and 4K 60 HDR, and maybe 4K 120. Like Michael brings up a very good point that there are some exclusive features that were limited to the iPhone 13 Pro last year, which would make sense that they come down. Cinematic mode, I don't know anybody who uses cinematic mode. I've used it maybe 3 times to demonstrate it, but then after that, it's kind of like not really a value add for me.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Every time I use it, it's annoying, right? And I know you can. Sorry, Patrick, go on.
No, I was saying we were so excited. I remember, Alex, we were watching the event last year, and we're like, oh man, cinematic mode looks amazing. But we did have some reservations because we've seen already in photography that phones were trying to sort of emulate the depth of field, and didn't really work out that well. You can always see a little bit by the hairs. So I wonder if they couldn't even do it with photos. How is that going to look on video? Unfortunately, we were right. It looks like trash.
Yeah. Unless you're in a very studio controlled environment, which is what they showed right in the event, it's really hard. I mean, I know I'm being a bit harsh because you can later on, after you recorded, you can go and change it's so much work. I don't know if you guys ever tried to, after you recorded cinematic mode, to go in and change the field and make it artsy, but it's just an extra step that people, I don't know. I just want the AI or whatever to kind of figure out that there's 2 faces. One is kind of closer to the other. Just focus on the one in front. But it is hard, like with kids, with pets, it just doesn't do a good job, and it will focus on random shit. Like, sorry,
it's okay.
Never. I've ranted enough. I like the question that Donzo is asked here about USB-C, and I know we probably know the answer, right? It's not happening, but how do you guys feel about that? Because I'm fuming about it if we don't get it.
I've been fuming about it for years. I mean, I obviously, it's all about Apple's bottom line, and they wanted to they want to keep Lightning connector as long as possible. Next year they will have to change it to USB-C because the European Union changed the rules, and now there's going to be a standardization, and it's going to be USB-C. So they're literally not allowed to produce phones, or at least not sell them in Europe, with Lightning connector. So it's going to happen, but I'm 99.9% sure it's not going to be this time.
That's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the ecosystem, right, that we kind of talk about and love, now you have, I don't know how many products now, right? But if you just talk about the ones that come to mind, like the Apple Watch is a different charger, and that's probably okay because that's true for other brands too. But that's one. The AirPods Max, that's a Lightning charger. I don't know, by the time you've got, and the iPads, if you have two iPads in the house, and depending on the models, they'll be different, right? One will be USB-C, the other one will be Lightning. How many cables? I mean, they say they're saving the environment, right? But let's be real.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah.
So
that's funny.
To Patrick's comment, I totally see them actually, complying with the EU regulation or law, whatever it is. But I do see them maybe changing it for the Pro model 1 year and then changing it for everyone the next year. Like everything is always gradual with Apple. Like they never go full force or all in on something. And I would see them. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was asking, do you mean they would introduce it for the Pro this year and then the other ones next year?
Yeah, so that would be my thought, because I think they would then at least set the expectation that it's eventually going to come to the other devices. And it makes more sense for the iPhone Pro or the Pro models because of the demand for storage and transferring video, like you were pointing out in the beginning of the call, or the beginning of the call, the beginning of the stream. So I would think that, but if they have to do it next year, I don't really see them, or at least to me, it's unlike Apple doing it all at once.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you make a good point. I mean, for 8K to be useful, we need USB-C at least.
Or Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
So that would be,
of course, that would be even better.
Yeah, that would be even better. So let's do you guys want to talk about anything else related to the iPhone, or do you want to move on to the Apple Watch?
Just one thing on the iPhone, which is probably we haven't really touched on, and is something that leaks or rumors not really covered it, and we've been surprised with Apple before with the iPad, right? No one was talking about it, and then the M1 kind of appeared in the iPad, and we're all like, oh my god. Do you guys think that we could get a different chip in the iPhone that is not the A16, or maybe is the A16 and they will call it the M1 or M2? I don't know.
I would not be surprised if the Pro models would have an M chip as like the big surprise for this event. I'm actually kind of expecting it low key, and it won't make a difference, not much anyway. But I think they will do the same thing as they did with the iPad Pro. Then,
yeah,
it's a marketing masterstroke, isn't it? If they do it, people go, oh my god, the M chip on the iPhone.
Yeah, they would lose their wigs, and I guess that would set the expectation, not the expectation, but that would set the possibilities for using your iPhone as a device where you could then output the display to a secondary screen, not like you can today, but you're separating the devices with capabilities based on their chipset from one another. So like all the A series chips are kind of like I don't want to call it consumer, but the consumer chips, and the M series chips are for the people who want to do more with their set of devices. I agree with Patrick and what you said, Alex. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if they'll do it, but I wouldn't be surprised. What I can tell you is that I've been on the beta since it came out, and my phone has consistently had bad battery performance. So that means they seem to be doing battery tests this late in the beta. So I think that the next chipset that they announce will be more powerful than the A15 or whatever they're on right now.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, see, that would get me excited, right? If they did something like that. But yeah, I probably would rank sort of USB-C first, and then maybe an M chip on it. But yeah, that would probably get me excited. At the moment, it's like a light upgrade from 13.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to buy it anyway. Being tech
doing this job, right?
But honestly, if I was just a consumer, quote unquote, and it had USB-C and it had the M chip, I would also buy it. Definitely, for the USB-C alone.
Yeah. And the camera upgrades.
Yeah,
for sure.
I was thinking about that before the stream. So if I wasn't doing this job, I probably wouldn't have upgraded in the last 2 years, because the 12 Pro Max, sorry, the 11 Pro Max was fine.
Yeah.
It was a good phone for sure.
Good phone.
Yes.
So let's see here. Let's move on to the Apple Watch, if we're okay with that.
Yeah, please.
Okay. So the rumor, as it's been coming out, I think over the past 72 hours, is that there is a new, larger Apple Watch Series 8. Some are calling it the iPhone or the Apple Watch Pro, but we'll get into that in a second here. But it's about 52 millimeters, so it's definitely bigger than the Apple Watch that there is today. What I am not necessarily sold on, people are talking about that Apple is going to brand it as the Pro, and to me it seems like all the features will be the same, versus the what is the 42 millimeter and the 45 millimeter. So if the features are the same, are they really going to call it the Pro? Like, what's the intent there? 'Cause they usually don't do that.
No. Yeah, it's probably another marketing thing, isn't it, to get people to think, all right, because I do like what Samsung did with their, I mean, it's a clear distinction, right? I think they've got 3 different models, right?
Okay.
And the Pro looks really Pro, right? It's a different, it looks expensive. So
what is their watch called? I don't even know.
Is it Samsung Galaxy Watch, I think it's called.
Okay.
I believe, yeah, I could be wrong here, but
what are your thoughts, Patrick?
I don't know. I think as far as I understand, the Pro model is for like professional job, so it's like extra rugged. It's getting like a rubber casing and everything. So that's what I understood. It's for like actual professionals that use their Apple Watches for work.
Okay.
I don't know which professionals, but as far as I understand, that's kind of what the Pro refers to.
Okay.
And the 8 would have the same features, the normal 8. I'm quite interested in that personally because I'm wearing a Apple Watch SE.
Okay.
And it's my first Apple Watch, and I didn't know I was going to like it this much because it's actually quite useful. Not just for sports, but also the way it integrates with the other devices. Opening the Mac, all that kind of stuff. It's quite useful. And I'm using it every day, so I'm actually ready for an upgrade.
Same here. I'm running the Apple Watch 5, I think, this one. And I really haven't seen any reason to upgrade in the last 2 years because it was only adding, I don't know, blood flow, right, and oxygen, whatever. Mm-hmm. And it looked the same. So I'm kind of, apart from last year there was a slight change, right, with the curved screen, which looked nice, but I didn't feel that there was enough of a reason to change. I quite like the look of this one. If they made it I think there was some, right, literally a year ago after the 13 was launched, John Prosser posted some leaks, right?
Yeah.
And he showed a flat edge watch, and I thought, okay, that looks amazing. But I don't know, the more recent leaks don't show that flat edge anymore.
No.
Yeah, the leaks that John Prosser had last year, I think that the leaks are always off by 1 year. Like, that's what it seems to be. Like, they're like, oh, well, this is going to come on the next iPhone or the next Apple Watch, whatever the product that they're talking is. Those people are so far up the chain that the people who he's talking to might not know when it's going to be like productized, so to speak. And they just think it's going to be coming in the next phone or next watch. But it is really interesting, the accuracy that John Prosser and Mark Gurman have with their sources. It's really kind of scary. So I think the Apple Watch, I have the 7 on, and I bought it because I'm me and I just buy things so I can, like, haphazardly. I just like to buy things, and I think it's a nice watch. I don't know what the Series 8 would have to have, just like the regular Series 8, not the Pro. What it would have to have for me to make me want to upgrade. I think the only supposed health feature is temperature, And while that might be useful, I don't know how useful it would be to me. Yeah, like unless there's really some significant design stylings, I would say that I'm probably going to pass on it for a personal use.
Yeah, for me, I mean, and I said this about the previous one, is exactly, I'm still in the same. I'll probably get it this time because it is a big jump. But for me, I mean, I used to have a Fitbit a few years ago, and it was an amazing device to wear even when you were asleep. And Apple Watch, and I've tried the Samsung as well. Nothing really comes close to that because it's always catching, and it's never really, sometimes you forget to turn off notifications and you kind of wakes you up. Something that would do proper sleep tracking and not be annoying at night would be great for me.
Yeah, I totally agree. Sleep tracking sucks on the Apple Watch. Always has. And I also used to have a Fitbit, and it was very good at sleep tracking. The other thing is the battery on the Apple Watch also sucks. So if you want to use the sleep tracker, you're going to have to charge it during the day. And I still really don't understand why the Apple Watch can't have a bit more battery life. There's plenty of smartwatches that can go for days. So yeah, the battery is definitely something I'm hoping they will improve.
So why do you think, or I guess, why is sleep tracking not good enough from your perspective? Is it just the battery life?
Basic.
Very basic.
It's very basic. The Fitbits, they actually show you, all kinds of details when you're in REM sleep, and it's very accurate. I find the Apple Watch is a bit basic and not very accurate either, in my opinion, because sometimes I know that I woke up and just doesn't register.
So
yeah, I agree.
In the newest beta, let's see if I can get this dialed in here a second. Like this is what it shows you for. Is that going to focus? So like there's the different stages. Is that
it does
what
look improved?
Is that what it looks like on Fitbit? I'm not sure because I've never used a Fitbit, or it's been a while.
Yeah, actually, yes, Fitbit will show you the level of sleep. Well, how deep you're asleep, or kind of almost awake sometimes. So it does show you that. It also tracks things like if you synchronize with other apps, it will kind of merge all into your health stuff, and because sometimes you don't know why you didn't have a good night's sleep, and you might then be able to say, right, based on the data that day, you went out or you drank too much coffee or whatever it might be, right?
Okay.
That sort of level of data that shows now on the beta is more akin to what we used to see on the Fitbit.
I think it was probably I think they bought Beddit or some sleep tracker where they actually had hardware in your bed. I can't remember. It might have been Beddit, but that's probably what took them so long. Not to make excuses for them, but I do agree with you. It is a very useful feature once you start seeing the data, because then you can manage your own kind of sleep routine and make better choices. But I always drink too much caffeine late in the day, and I never sleep that long or that late. So I'm a bad one. And I bet Patrick, with 2 young kids, you probably have the same sleep routine.
That's why I'm
monster
drinking this bad here.
Yeah,
we can do this.
I mean, this week we're gonna need a lot of it, right?
Yeah. No, but it's right. Sleep tracking. I really miss that the level of sleep tracking we had on Fitbit, because I do generally have very, very short nights. I don't sleep very long, which I don't mind, but that means that if I have a bad night for whatever reason, and I sleep 1 hour less, I will definitely feel it. So I'm always trying to sort of improve my sleep. The couple of hours that I do sleep, I want them to be solid. So sleep tracking for sure.
Yeah. Michael, I was going to say, sorry, Michael made a good point there about, he was talking about being able to activate the Apple Watch without the iPhone. I would go even further. Being able to use the Apple Watch, full stop, without even having an iPhone would be awesome.
Not going to happen. Same reason the iPad Mini won't get calling, because everybody would ditch their iPhones, or not everybody, but a lot of people. Because I loved, still do, but when the iPad Mini 6 came out, I used it so much that I was actually ready to ditch my iPhone if I could just make calls on the iPad, as you can do on Androids.
Yeah. So maybe the Apple Watch Pro, whatever it's being called, is bigger because it has a bigger battery and because you'll be able to use it as a standalone. I don't know. Maybe it's just I'm hypothesizing here. Because
the tech is there, right? I mean, we've got like an eSIM on these devices. Well, for a long time, I've got my own mine, so it's entirely possible.
Yeah. Same here. I use mine autonomously for running, and you can get your Spotify on there, and there's a data connection, so there's really no technical reason why it shouldn't work.
Yeah. It's even annoying when you're doing beta testing, right? Because you have to keep updating with the iPhone. It's just not practical.
No, it's not. But that they incentivize you to buy a second watch.
Sure.
Yeah, they're like buy a watch that you don't put the beta on. Yeah,
just buy everything.
All right. So if there's nothing else to talk about for the Apple Watch, I don't know if you guys feel we could talk about like the adjunct or the other things like the AirPods Pro 2. Sorry, you guys okay with that?
Absolutely. Sure. Yeah.
Cool. So I think it's been 3 years since the AirPods Pro were announced, 2019, because I remember, 2019, and mine are almost battery dead, or the batteries are almost kaput. You guys probably own AirPods Pro, I imagine, because they're the best, at least one of the best noise canceling headphones. Are you guys sold on AirPods Pro 2?
So I'll go quick because my answer is straightforward. My ears never liked AirPods at all.
Wow.
I have to, if I wear AirPods, I have to buy those rubberized ear tips to go in, and then you can't fit it into the charger. It's a bit of a nightmare, so I avoid them, and I do try them every time. Yeah. Exactly. So it's a bit of an extra thing, right? To then put it away to charge, you have to take those things off. In some cases, that one is actually just that can go into the case. The ones I need have like a wing tips thing, so you can't charge with it.
Okay. So the Pro with rubber tips doesn't fit your ear. Is that the one?
Yeah. All of them, yeah.
Because
Pro
the
or even
don't have rubber tips, they fall out of my ears too. Sorry, I'm looking at my screen because my setup is a mess right now. But the Pro ones are the only ones that fit my ears. The other ones will just fall right out.
Yeah. No, I have the problem with the Pro as well, and I think it's the plastic that they use, not on the tip, but the surrounding, so the bit that touches your ear. And I don't know, it's a disgusting thing to talk about, isn't it? But when you're working out or you're going for a run or whatever, you sweat, right? and moisture kind of gets in, and it just every time it falls off. And I have the same issue with Galaxy earbuds as well. The best ones I've got are from Soundcore, or there's another one I forgot. Earphone Pro 2s are the best for me because they come with those little tips and they never fall out.
Oh wow.
Have you ever tried Jabras?
The quality isn't great, right? Jabra will work, yeah. I'm quite happy with
getting
Patrick,
into my ear.
Go ahead. You froze, Patrick. There you go.
Oh, I froze. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can now.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I was talking about these Jabras that literally lock into your ear and they just won't come out. And I don't know what they did with the design that made it so much different, better, whatever. I wish we could get, or maybe Apple could give us a few more options for tips,
like a sport mode or whatever. Yeah, because the quality is there, right? When I use the AirPods Pro, you can tell straight away, not just the listening quality, but when you talk to people on the phone, people will notice that the quality is better.
I actually use my AirPods Pro. I sleep with them, and I meditate, and I just fall asleep with them, and then I take them out halfway through the night. But the foam tips work for me; they work really well. These are from Comply, Comply. They're a U.S. company, but they work really well, and they send you I think it's a 3-pack for maybe $20. It's a pretty good deal in my opinion. But I totally understand what you're talking about regarding the not preciseness, but the fit of the AirPods. And my father-in-law's the same way. He doesn't have, or he can't wear the AirPods either. I would like to see them offer new tips, right? And some, at least with that, better, maybe a wider range of ear tips available for people, because obviously there are people like both of you who just might have problems with it.
Yeah, I was encouraged by the leaks that I saw. Yeah,
Hold on one second.
it seemed to have some sort of black rubbery thing on the side. I thought maybe that will help, but yeah, we'll see. Is Patrick still there?
Sorry,
I'm still here.
Yeah, sorry. For some reason, my headphone stopped working. It was then coming out of my speakers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we just got about 5 minutes before the event. I think the only other thing, which Michael Pepper Tech is coming in clutch here, coming in with a lot of content for us. But the AirPods Pro and the AirPods Max really higher sound quality, and that's supposed to another rumor that they have supporting Bluetooth LE 5.2, which would allow them to deliver high quality audio streaming over wireless. So that would be great as well. Do you guys? I have AirPods Max. They're actually sitting up there. I never use them, or I hardly ever use them because they're just so damn heavy.
Yeah, I don't find them heavy. I find them warm for like over an hour. Sometimes I edit videos on them for an hour, and then it's like I have to change it. But I actually enjoy the quality of it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean they sound great, but like I wore them on my flight from New York to Europe, and after like 90 minutes, I'm like, oh my god, my head! It's like just like the pressure of maybe just my head's not the right shape. I have no idea, but it's probably one things I do regret buying, and maybe not returning and keeping them because it's just I don't get a lot of use out of them.
No, I do use them. I wouldn't say daily, but whenever I don't have them here in the studio, I have them at home. Mm-hmm. So yeah, when I edit at home, I definitely use them. And I think for me anyway, up to an hour of usage is just about right because after a while it does get warm. Yeah, for me anyway.
Patrick, do you own a pair?
I do not, because unless I have to, like streaming or video editing, I do not like over-ear headphones. I much prefer earbuds. For all the reasons you mentioned. They're too much pressure, it gets warm. I much prefer my my AirPods, but I don't trust them enough in terms of latency to do my editing with them. But if there was actually a zero latency earbud, I would definitely ditch the wired ones.
Yeah, that's all agreed. Is there anything that you guys are hoping to see? Like if you're wishing, crossing your fingers that you want them to announce or talk about today?
Yes.
iPads,
for the last 3 years, I'd say iPads. It's never going to happen, but I'm going to say anyway. It's some form of AR, even if it's not the product itself, but some sort of announcement that they're working on it. Because I don't know about you guys, but I've had enough of. I've been using these phones for 15 years now. These rectangular shaped things, and I just had enough of it. I think we need to move on from it as an industry, right? Maybe AR might be the future. I don't know. Maybe we'll always be having a phone. But I think it'd be nice not to have to use your hands all the time.
Wait, so you're hoping for actual like glasses that we would use instead of phones?
Yeah. And I know it's out there, but I don't see how we can avoid it, right? I think eventually we're going to say, you got to stop holding something to do your stuff. I mean, we got to move from it, I think. But
I mean, Google Glass was way too early. They were ahead of their time. Do you think people are ready now?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you think about what you need it for, right? And I just have this vision of being able to walk down the street and use the maps with the apps, kind of in a discreet way. And if you can see your notifications, and you can, I don't know, using, without having to use your hands, you'll be able to access your stuff and call people and whatever. So I think that's where we'll end up, but maybe not now. I don't know.
What's the saying? Like evolution, or evolution is fast until it's not. Or I'm trying to think of what the phrase is, but it's really about how slow things kind of change until all of a sudden they're really fully formed in front of you. I agree with you. I'd love to see something, a new type of form factor. I don't think that we're that everyone's ready
transition,
for it.
Right? I don't think we'll say, Apple will come out and say one day we're not going to make our phones anymore. But there will be eventually a transition from, okay, we'll start with an AR glass that you can do some limited things on, but then eventually, as the experience and the tech sort of evolves, AR should be the new thing, because it's been talked about for a long time, and apart from Facebook with their gimmick sort of gaming thing, it's not really materializing.
Yeah, no, it's not.
There's a question about when the iPhones will be ready for order, whether it's right after the event. And as far as I know, it's going to be, you can pre-order it the next day on the 9th, I think, and then it would be available on the 16th.
So pre-orders this Friday, delivery next Friday, right?
Yeah.
The 9th. He's the 7th. Yeah, 9th.
My bank account price.
RIP my Apple card.
All right. Shall we go and watch it?
Yeah, guys, it's 1 o'clock. Everyone, thanks very much for joining me. Patrick, Alex, thank you very much for joining me as well. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Pleasure to be here.
We'll see you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you guys.